to the show. It's episode 8, and as usual, I'm so excited for my guest. Christine is not just a triple threat. She's a quadruple threat. She is a professional ballroom dancer, a visual podcast show host, a life coach, and a conversation specialist. Time to meet Christine.
Hi, my name is Christine Barr. I am a life balance coach, a world champion ballroom dancer, and a podcast host. The name of my podcast is called Today Over Tea, and it is a visual podcast.
Okay, and full disclosure with the audience and people watching, I just learned what a visual podcast is, and goddamn, apologies for those that can hear it. There is a movement going on outside, and
hey, stand with the people.
Something's weighing heavy on your shoulders. I can feel it. You wanted to vent about how we communicate as a society. In 3, 2, 1.
Basically, anyone who knows me knows my biggest pet peeve is what I call life filler conversations. So how are you? How's the weather? I'm fine. Those kinds of things. And they don't really help us grow as a society. We don't evolve as humans. Like, it's just kind of life filler. So I decided to create a podcast, a visual podcast called Today Over Tea, because, everything is a little less intimidating with a nice hot cup of tea. And right. And so it is on Apple and Spotify, but the visual part is the experience on YouTube. So conversations create change. So we do discuss topics that require change: mental health, holistic medicine, society, social media, entrepreneurship, healthy relationships. The biggest one right now, sexuality and racism. So starting a conversation, I can't do it. I thought I could do it.
You're the only person that's done under a minute.
That was awesome, though. It goes so fast. Holy crap.
We're super excited to learn more about this, because that's kind of the reason why I started this show. It was mainly because I missed talking to people, but I also didn't want to forget how to talk to people. Like, I didn't want to become one of those robots that's like, so what about the weather? Hey, how you doing? What's going on today? What's new? I love conversations and meaningful conversations on top of that. So I applaud you, even if, you started this before the quarantine and everything else. These are topics that were seen as taboo, but now everyone's like, we need to have these conversations. So the fact that you're doing it on multiple platforms, first of all, I applaud you. It's a lot of work, and you're doing it with somebody that, you care about. It's a partner. So it's nice to see that, like, you can be supported in that way. And the outcome has been a very well-produced show, in my opinion.
That was great. That was awesome. Thank you for all the compliments.
I'm the showrunner. Is it both you and your partner interviewing guests, or are you the interviewer most of the time? Like I said, I only had the time to watch like one little IGTV.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so basically my fiance and I are travel bloggers. We are on camera together. We do dance vlogs because we're professional dancers all over the world. But for this particular project, he saw how passionate I was about it and wanted me to run with it. And he's kind of taken a behind the camera stance on this. He also owns a digital media business, so that's kind of his wheelhouse. And he felt like we could divide and conquer. I do edit mostly everything because I kind of know how I want it to go. And he has allowed me to use my voice and my platform. We just did a Black Lives Matter one, which was incredible. And I was so nervous because, being a white woman, I wanted to come off, with sympathy and support for the community, and being in an interracial relationship. That was huge for me to talk about. But he's so supportive.
So many things to...
I know, sorry, that was a lot.
No, so many things to admire about that, and so many questions just because I'm of a curious mind. But number one, do you actually drink tea?
Yes, we do. I love tea.
Okay. How long have you guys been together?
We've been together for almost 4 years.
I mean, in general, whenever like a relationship works out and you can actually work together, but then also to create together, I think is
Oh,
the ultimate. Yeah, like marry that
ultimate.
man. Marry
Oh,
that man.
best believe it's happening.
Dude, how old is your visual podcast?
Just started it in February, but believe it or not, I've had the domains and the idea for 3 years. So I do want to tell people out there that are watching, don't give up on your passion projects. And it was an amazing idea. And we were going to do this whole roundtable podcast, and it didn't end up happening because we ran off in different directions and were successful, which is great, but couldn't get it together. 3 years later, I was having a mental breakdown in my life, trying to figure things out. It was pre-pandemic. I have to do something like this because this is the reason I'm frustrated. I just can't get my words out. I needed almost my own version of online journaling, therapy, whatever. It was a game changer for me personally, and also for my guests.
I didn't have the 3 year, I didn't have this idea 3 years ago. It has been so therapeutic. A lot of people that had a platform, you know, maybe prior to COVID, didn't seem approachable. They didn't seem reachable. I think
Right.
that that's something that you have done very well. Like you're so
Thank you.
responsive. Part of conversation is an art. And I think you
100%.
got it.
Connecting with people. I mean, listen, people want to be heard. They want to be seen. The best way to do that is to start a conversation and connect with people. And that's our hashtag. It's start the conversation, because the hardest part is to start, whether it's going to be a good conversation or you think it's going to be a bad one. You have, like, you can't go into it thinking, oh, I think the complete opposite of this person, so we're only going to be judging each other. Like, most people don't get into conversations for that reason.
I love having uncomfortable conversations. Not always
Me
uncomfortable.
too.
They don't have to be uncomfortable either.
No.
So I feel like people are so afraid of being judged that and they lack the experience of being heard, that they're like, oh, you don't understand what I'm saying, or I'm not afraid that you'll judge me, but I don't really think that you'll get it. And I'm like,
Right.
try me.
I think what we need to do is normalize uncomfortable conversations. I pride myself as being the host that if we start to get into some uncomfortable zones, that I can help guide us through that.
A good host is key. So you have been having these conversations. You are in an interracial couple.
Yes.
What else, or what can you say that you are doing to whether it be on the show or outside of the show, to amplify what needs to happen for Black people in America?
My fiance came from Haiti. He kind of almost had to learn how to be Black in America, because when he came here and then names started happening and certain things started, he realized that he became a minority here. He's had a lot of success in his life because he's worked really, really hard. And so I have played my emotional reaction based off of his, because he's going through it. You know, I'm not Black, and I say that in my Black Lives episode. I will never understand because I can't understand, but I'm here to support. I feel like this was my way to raise my voice and say what needed to be said. So I had one of my amazing friends who's a amazing speaker, and he's an educator, and his name is Andre Ashley, and he was my guest on the Black Lives episode. Held my hand through it, and we walked through the steps of like questions that we had, and Jim Crow laws, and 1930 racism versus 2020 racism. And I mean, he was incredible. I mean, the eloquentness of how he brought me through that conversation was beautiful, and we've gotten amazing feedback on it. And so that is how I feel I can be a support for the Black community, is by just using my platform.
It must be such a beautiful thing for Noelle to also witness that, like behind the scenes.
Best advice I can give for that is every couple needs to figure out their own way. And the hardest thing to do is start the conversation. So have that with your partner. I feel like we've done a pretty good job at communicating together of how we feel the outside world is affecting us.
To be able to put it on a platform, on display, it's also like, it's a little bit testing for a relationship.
Sure. people to think that it's been easy going from the start, because it hasn't. He knows what social media is. He's not very active on social media. But at the start, my brother's the one that actually pushed us. He's like, you guys are traveling to all these amazing places. Why don't you document it? He's so genuine that he was like, I can't put that stuff up there. It just doesn't make sense. So we had to find our groove with it. I do have to say, bringing the genuineness of the Today Over Tea podcast and all these other things that he does with, we're starting to do some major humanitarian work. And so that has helped him to understand that the platform is worth it. That audience backs you because they love you so much that now you can use that platform to make real change in the world.
Thank you for being so honest.
I love being a Libra. That inspired my life coaching, because I call myself a life balance coach, because balance is the scales with Libra. And I very strongly believe that if you find your balance in life, then you can create a sustainable way of living, and then you can go and pursue passions and goals and stuff.
I'm gonna follow up with you on a lot of different things. Thank you, Christine, so much for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure learning about all your projects and your relationship, and I look forward to binge watching Today Over Tea.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been awesome.